X-Men. Get it!
Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Battle of the Atom. This is your weekly X-Men podcast where we rank every story from A to Z.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Zach. And Adam, what a day.
Oh, what a day.
What a lifetime, what an experience, what a time to be alive.
What a chilly time of year. Filled with ice and snow. It's actually 62 degrees in Jersey today, so I don't know what's going on with global warming, but
yeah, the planet's on fire. This is terrible. Guys, this is legit Zach, real human being whose children will have to inherit this earth after me. We broke this one. We screwed it up, and I mean we as the human race. I think, probably all of us could do a little bit better at reducing our carbon footprint. I think that's a fair statement. I would also say that we, as anyone who's listening to this podcast, probably isn't the driving factor in this. Considering all businesses are bad and do bad things about this. What I'm saying is that we're talking about Iceman today, and I didn't know where I was going, and Adam tried to segue into something, and then we got depressing. Sorry, we're doing Iceman this one. This one's Iceman.
Yes, this is actually a kind of a fun, jokey episode, as opposed to, a dark environmental disaster episode, so maybe we shouldn't have started that way. Everybody just turned it off. They were like, I don't want to listen to this garbage.
It's fine, guys. Mother Earth is dying, and it's really bad. But to save you from that existential dread, away from the fiery hell that is our global warming, we're gonna talk about some comics. Some of which are silly, some of which are very very important and poignant to a lot of people. And we're just gonna do that. One of those people that I don't know how important this comic was to him, whether he just liked it or he wants to talk about it because whatever, is from Patreon supporter Tyler James. Now, Tyler went on over to patreon.com and he was like, hey, let's go to the Battle of the Atom site and let's give them some money, and then they can do a whole podcast about Iceman and Scenic Grace's Iceman specifically, and that's what we're going to do right now. So thank you, Tyler, so much. If you want to be like Tyler, we'll tell you at the end of the episode how you can give us all of your cash so that we can transfer that into funds that will stop our inevitable heat death.
All right, don't forget to breathe, Zach. There's breathing that needs to be done to actually do this podcast.
No, we have a limited amount of oxygen on this planet, and I'm going to talk as fast as I can and breathe as few as I can to save this ding-dang Earth.
That is not how it works. You're supposed to slow your breathing down when you're losing oxygen. Didn't you learn anything from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they get trapped in space? Anyway, this is Scenic Grace Volume 1, not Volume 2, correct?
Right. This is his first arc. It's kind of a loose arc, but it has a thematic through line. It's called Thawing Out. It's the first 5 issues with art by Alessandro Vitti, with some fill-ins by Edgar Salazar and Ibrahim Robinson.
Now, this is not, though, however, Iceman's first volume. This is Iceman Volume 3.
Yeah, this is the third one. This is the third time they tried to do Iceman. This is part of Resurrection.
Yeah.
Y'all remember Resurrection?
Yeah, I think we're still using that X logo in our podcast art, like on iTunes.
Yeah, the background art is a reference to the Resurrection art. I thought you were talking about the actual logo, which we had redesigned like a year and a half ago.
I know,
maybe
more.
And
it looks great.
But
that's how long
great.
ago Resurrection
Mikey V
was.
did a great job.
Resurrection was so long ago. It's from when we started our show.
No, it's from. It's got to be from.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I mean, anyway. So this is post Bendis Iceman. Young Iceman has been outed by Jean, and adult Iceman is dealing with the repercussions.
Yeah, so this is interesting because while we had a little bit of that with like Extraordinary X-Men, where Bobby was a main character, his sexuality wasn't dealt with well. Or well's the wrong word. It just wasn't a focus, I think is the better way to put it.
I don't remember really that being much of anything in Extraordinary, you know?
There was a scene or two with Iceman and Anna Lay, but that was about it. Like it just
a little bit of
he
mentoring,
was there.
I guess. No, like more like, hey, Anna Lay, how does this work?
Look, Bud, if you want me to remember everything about Extraordinary X-Men, you're going to have to send at least $2 into Patreon.
Well, here we get Iceman really kind of wrestling with his new status quo. And this series is kind of a big deal. You know, we have an openly gay writer coming on and writing an openly gay character in his own solo title.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I'm gonna start all of this with a big asterisk here.
Okay. Which is?
Y'all, I legitimately and truly understand that this is a book that a lot of people have a lot of connection to. And I think it's very important that a book like this exists and is out there. Any amount of it that may not resonate with me is very likely to come from the fact that I'm a straight dude who has not had to come out to my parents. So I've not had those experiences. I can tell when there's good writing here. I can tell when some of the stuff is not so strong on the writing front. And we'll talk about those issues and the strengths as we go on. I've seen this been on the show. I think he's a great dude. I have some pluses and minuses about this series, and I want to throw that right up front. If I don't get everything, it's because of what and I'm going to speak for Adam here, what Adam is bringing to the table as straight dudes.
Yeah, I will say that I don't feel as disconnected to this material as you might be describing. I think that there are some definite strengths and weaknesses here that are going to make it sing in places and really make it a bit of a I don't want to use the word a drag, but not as good as it could be in other places. So a quick synopsis of the first 5 issues really could be Iceman is trying desperately to come out to his parents and interacts with a variety of different people, purifiers, Dakin, Juggernaut, ex-girlfriend Kitty Pryde, and it's a tricky thing for him to navigate. And that part of it, the conversations with the parents, the interactions there, I think that part's done pretty well.
Absolutely. I think that's the highlight of this is the interactions that Bobby has with his parents are so good. They pull from long threads of this is who Bobby is as a character. This is his fraught relationship with his parents. Mm-hmm. And I think regardless of your sexuality, you're going to be able to relate to, hey, parents just don't understand sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And
you're gonna be able to pull something.
That's
from that.
The part where I really, can understand, like these awkward conversations where he is desperately trying to relate to his dad. Now, I think we've talked about in another episode that the basis of this relationship and it's where it's at the beginning of this series is kind of ignoring some past continuity that it probably happened in the 90s, but it still makes for a pretty compelling version of their familial relationship here.
And I can accept that just for the sheer fact of sometimes relationships with people go through some weird cyclical things.
Oh, yeah.
And just because you have one good interaction doesn't mean that fixes all the old wounds forever. I feel that. I get that. And I think that works in Grace's favor here. I think his parents feel like three-dimensional characters. Mm-hmm. They don't feel like they are just bigots.
Right.
It feels like they are all bringing something else to this, where they've got so many layers. And in fact, by the end of the story, it's Bobby's dad who reaches out to him and tries to understand even more instead of his mom, who has been, presented as the more accepting one and just trying to, I really care about your father's health here. Like, she's the one that kind of walks away while his dad's the one that sits down and just is at least trying, even if he's doing a bad job about it.
Yeah. So all of that, I think you and I would agree, is working really, really well. Where this book falters is right off the bat in even just the first issue when it starts to give voice to these action scenes.
Oh, yeah. Cena's very good at slice of life stuff. Cena, especially in these first 5, just does not have a handle for superhero action and how to pace that, how to make it important to the other plot. We've talked a lot about how sometimes stories have to get in there like 6 pages of punching or whatever. I think this series is the most I've seen like 6 pages of punching forced into a book, where sometimes it feels like, y'all, could we just like not on this one?
Well,
could this just be a slice of life book?
Yeah, I think it would have been a more successful story if it could have taken. I almost want to use the Vision miniseries as sort of like a cue, because I feel like it could have been a little bit more novel and different if it didn't have to have him interacting with, especially this Purifier line. Like, we're going to talk a little bit more.
The Purifier stuff sucks.
And
it sucks. It sucks that in another series that came out the same month, Generation X, they pulled the exact same lazy start of, I guess the Purifiers show up and then we fight them for a minute.
Yeah. And we're...
Love Generation X, by the way. Y'all know that. But it has again, a rough couple first issues.
Oh, I love Gen X. But we're going to talk a little bit more in this episode about this trope of what happens when Bobby goes home. Because what happens when Bobby goes home is houses blow up and bad guys inevitably attack, and their parents are just upset because their mutant child is just always bringing this battle to their house, and they don't want it. And we're here again. So...
To be fair to his parents, his parents aren't great people.
No, but I would also get...
Bobby does constantly break their house with his mutant fights.
I was going to say, and I really do. The one scene I really appreciate here is after I think it's the end of issue 3, where the Purifiers have legitimately just like blown up Bobby's childhood home again. Or no, this is the new home that they moved into that they didn't tell Bobby about. The rest of the X-Men show up to try and help put the house back together, and they're just like, just leave right now.
We have insurance. We'll get a contractor. We don't need you.
Yeah, take your Colossus and go back to Westchester. So anyway,
I'd say the other stuff that doesn't land as well for me. There's two other things that really stood out reading these 3 issues. The first is the art. I don't think Alessandro Vitti was a good fit for this book. And then I don't think his fill-ins in Edgar Salazar, especially, were a good fit for this book. So everything doesn't look good, and some of the big emotional beats, like the beat where Bobby does come out to his parents, has the weirdest facial expression, and I don't understand it. And it robs the moment of a lot of the impact for me.
I don't know if I agree. I think we've been talking about the quality of the writing in those quieter scenes, and I don't really have a huge problem with the way that Vitti is drawing them. It's a much more sketchy style than I think we're used to for a polished Marvel book. And especially when it gets into action, that sketchiness sort of like dials up a little bit, which I agree, for what this book is trying to be in terms of something a little bit more higher profile and sort of a landmark title, it doesn't land the way I think it's supposed to.
Yeah, that's where I'd go. It doesn't fit what the book's trying to do.
Yeah. And even from issue 1, I feel like there's other sort of technical things like lettering, that just feel a little less high quality than you might have gotten from even some of the other X-Men books at the time. You know, it just doesn't look as polished. So I agree that it kind of takes away from the finished product.
Right. I'd say the other thing, and this may just be a me thing, I don't love Cena's voice for Iceman in the less serious moments. He's very pop culture reference heavy. In a way, it's not that Bobby hasn't always been a jokester, and especially making bad jokes, because that's what Stan Lee characters did. They made the kid Spider-Man or the Human Torch, Iceman. They made bad jokes. That was their thing, and I can accept that, and I like that. I don't think the voice specifically for this Bobby aligns with the voice that I'm used to hearing from the character, and that throws me off a bit. And I think even a few years removed from some of the very specific references, it feels dated.
Yeah, I don't have as much a problem with the voice of Iceman. I think that, he's going through some stuff and he's trying to figure some stuff out.
Sure.
And Cena definitely has a take on this character that is going to be his mark on this book. There are other places in Cena's writing of Iceman, especially in volume 2 when he does Bishop. I feel like there are other characters where that would pull me out more. His Iceman doesn't really bother me very much. So I don't have as much of an issue with that, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah, I think it's fair. It's kind of it's going to be a personal thing. Like, it's just the voice that I have specifically in my head doesn't align with this voice. And that can be tough for me to swallow. But again, that's part of what I'm bringing to this versus, accepting the book where it's coming from. And I think there is definitely a level to that.
But I think we have had a similar conversation with the North Star Wedding arc, that a book like this is just so important. And I really applaud Marvel for letting this have a life as a trade. I think it did very well in that regard, so that even after they thought the book was over, they brought it back for a little bit. And even though it was, not ultimately going to be this long-term successful solo title, what is that's not Wolverine?
Right.
I think it's awesome that they took the chance and put this out for a while.
I do too. And for the record, I think Iceman gets better, especially near the end of Cena Grace's run.
Absolutely.
I was definitely enjoying the end of his first volume a good amount. I think the last issue he does, Cena actually does, I think, a lot of the art, if not all of the art on it. He may just do some flashback. I think
he does some of the 90s flashback stuff there.
He does the flashback stuff. That's right. And I think that's a very poignant, very good issue. That's where the book really works. It blends the slice of life and the superheroics, the best that the book did. I think it took a little bit to get there.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of this book, I highly recommend you go back and listen to our episode with Cena, where I think we focus a lot on the end of that initial run.
Yeah, because I think it ended the week we were recording it.
Right.
Yeah, because we recorded on like a Monday or Tuesday, and the last issue came out on Wednesday.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we've covered it pretty well.
I think we've covered it pretty well.
We want to rank this.
Well, we're talking about ranking things, and in fact, we do rank things. We rank a lot of things. Adam, do you know how many things we rank?
I think we're up to 327 stories. Good Lord.
We are up to 327 unique X-Men stories, starting with the Dark Phoenix saga at number 1. Let's just jump down to 100 here. We got Generation X, 18 and 19, For the Sake of the Children. At number 200, we have Marvel Comics Presents Colossus, God's Country.
I like that one.
That one's, it's neat. Number 300 is Morlocks Take Manhattan from Uncanny X-Men. And the bottom story is the Draco, which is bad. This is definitely better than Morlocks Take Manhattan.
I would agree. how do you feel about it versus something like the Muir Island Saga 268?
I like this better than the Muir Island Saga, I think. Yeah, I like this better than that. I probably...
We have the first arc of Extraordinary at 256. How do you think it weighs against that?
I think we're getting close, because right above that is the G Nation story plus Rogue and Iceman's road trip.
Yeah.
And I think that's my ceiling.
Yeah.
I think that what I'd say is that book does not do the interpersonal relationship between Bobby and his parents as well as Cena does. It still does it very well. And the action is tighter in that one, which I think gives it the slight edge. But I like this better than the first arc of Extraordinary.
Well, let's put it at 256. I think that's a good place for it.
I think it is too. That would be our new number 256. Iceman Volume 3, 1 through 5, Thawing Out.
All right, so I talked about the trope of Iceman kind of going back to his home and things blowing up. So we're going to go back in time to yet another time when that happened, which is Iceman Volume 1.
Yes. This is Iceman's first limited series. While he was on the New Defenders at the time, which, y'all, I've not read a single page of anything that happens to Iceman between leaving the X-Men and joining the X Factor team. I've not read Champions of Los Angeles. I have not read the New Defenders. It seems like a big investment for 3 characters that I'm not as hot on as the rest of the
Pretty wild
X-Men.
that Iceman was on a team with Ghost Rider, isn't it?
Yeah, and Hercules was there, and Black Widow. Yeah. Oh dang! I got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Oh, cool.
Which is not a technically great game. It is a super fun game to play with my kid. Like, he loves it. And it's fun. I've got technical issues with the game that we're not going to get into here. But I'm about to unlock Iceman, and I kind of want to put him and Ghost Rider on a team and see if they give me a bonus for being Champions of Los Angeles. I'll put Black Widow there too. I don't think I can put 4 people from the Champions of Los Angeles.
That'd be really funny though if that was like a hidden bonus and you all got leveled up.
There's a bunch of weird bonuses for different team combinations that you like. The one that I'm mad about though is there's one that's called New X-Men, Yeah, all new X-Men or whatever. So it's, the giant size team. Right, which makes sense because they were the all new, all different X-Men.
Yeah. Why are you mad about it?
Because here's who I put on that team and it got mad at me. I put Storm on that team. Good.
Yeah.
I put Colossus on that team. Good. I put Nightcrawler on that team. Good. I put Wolverine on that team and they got mad at me.
Wait, what?
They said, no, Wolverine doesn't get that bonus, but Cyclops gets that bonus. And I'm like, hold on. He was the only not all new or all different member of that team. Wolverine was slightly less new than the others, but still very new and very different. And y'all better give me that bonus so I can use the Stabby Man. But it's all better this way because now I get to use Shoots McGee over here, who has his laser eyes.
That's so specific. That anyway.
The game's oddly deep in canon in some places, and then wildly off base in others.
I've been tempted to get it. I just feel like I've heard so many stories of how difficult it is to level up each individual character that it's frustrating.
Yeah, that's dumb, and that should have gone away 20 years ago. Folks, I don't have that much time. I don't want to individually level characters up. My son does not have patience for it. When he wants to use Rocket and Groot, he doesn't want Daddy to say, well, we can't use him on this level because we haven't used him in 20 levels, and he's so far behind the others that he'll just get crushed.
Oh, poor Rocket and Groot. All right, so this...
Anyway, Iceman,
written by J.M. DeMatteis, penciled by Alan Kupperberg, inks by Mike Gustovich, and this really is a weird one. I knew this was a weird one going into it, but I don't know if I was properly prepared for just how strange it is.
Yeah, so Iceman goes back to Long Island, and he doesn't really want to hang out with his parents, so he finds this girl and he starts flirting with her. But then some people come and try and blow up his house, and he gets sent on this time-traveling adventure using what is definitely a mother box from DC Comics. Goes to back in the past. His dad dies, and then he finds out that the girl that he's been chasing through time is actually the daughter of Oblivion, the cosmic embodiment of nothingness.
Right. So you say two guys show up. So the two guys are White Light and the Idiot. The Idiot speaks in a Brooklyn accent for some reason. They are then defeated and followed by Kali, who flies in on a flying spider with a legion of flying spiders. The Oblivion is very interested in getting Marge back, who I guess was Iceman's neighbor, but not really.
She was his new neighbor, but okay, here's the weird thing. Marge is living with her parents at the time,
Right.
and she reads as a good deal younger than Iceman here, which is odd. It's not that weird when you find out that she is both the daughter of Oblivion, the wife of Oblivion, and an equal part of Oblivion itself.
Yeah, we'll get into that with issue 4, but I totally agree. Bobby starts this series by, racing around on one of his ice trails. Accosts his
Monologuing something fierce.
accosts his cousin, which then causes a local police officer to have a conniption fit, and then accosts this family, who then later turn out to be fictional creations of Marge. They're not real.
Yeah, Marge, the daughter of Oblivion.
Yeah. Who created this family so as not to be lonely? Did we mention that Iceman spends most of this series just like walking around in his underpants?
Yeah, he does do that, which I think is a very funny touch. But Iceman does realize that he Marty McFlys himself out of existence.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Definitely. Is this before? This has got to be contemporaneous with Back to the Future, right?
I don't know. I don't know when Back to the Future came out.
Hold on a sec. This is 84. Let's IMDb. Here, keep talking.
Back to the Future. So anyway, we're going to talk about Back to the Future, which is a movie that some of you youngins may not have known about. It involves Marty McFly, who goes back to the future. He goes back to the past, and then he has to go back to the future using a DeLorean. It's very famous. There's a guy with bad hair in it, and his mom does try and hook up with him.
Zach, this predates Back to the Future by an entire year.
Wild stuff.
That's crazy.
Robert Zemeckis, you thief, you dirty thief.
Well, and not only is the father killed, but the father is killed by the same cop that Bobby aggravates in the first issue, but is younger in the second issue. So, oh man, okay. So time paradox.
Yeah, it's not great.
Time paradox, and then we hit 3 and 4, where things just get really weird.
Yeah, this is, look, very similar to Cena's Iceman, actually. The monologuing was great. The family interaction was great. The fights were not great in this. But then 3 and 4 just decide to take the bumpers down. Oof. And say, we're going Gutterball City here. Because then Iceman has to go on a fetch quest at the behest of literal nothingness to get nothingness's kid, and it's bad.
It's so strange.
No, I've read this multiple times. I don't know what happened.
Well, okay, so before we get into the Oblivion part, is this the first appearance of Bobby's parents? Okay.
Yes, I believe it is. If it's not their first appearance, it's their first appearance that like mattered. Like they did show up in Bobby's introduction in a backup of X-Men 44. But like this is the first time they are characters who aren't parent.
Okay. So it is kind of cool though that we are setting up this this sort of relationship with them that then gets revisited with the Cyber Eye arc, gets revisited later on when we see Cena Grace's interactions with the parents. It's already kind of there. It's wild to me that we start this series the way we do, which is the classic Iceman trope of, you know, going home to visit them, the neighbor's house blows up, the parents are like, get out of here. And then by the time we get to the end, there's this weird kind of like incesty fantasy thing that's going on here that I am just grossed out by.
Yeah, y'all, it gets weird.
Because Oblivion gets Marge back and then like has to absorb her back into nothingness.
But it's framed as a makeout thing, and explicitly the lines like, my daughter, my wife.
Ugh,
and I don't like it.
No.
I understand that cosmic, like, concepts, just like concepts given shape, do not follow the same social norms as we do, but I don't like it, and it's gross. And maybe J.M. DeMatteis, if you knew that humans were going to be reading this and not cosmic concepts, you could have not done that.
Yeah, it's extremely questionable, and this final issue is just like, what is even going on? We have Iceman kind of trying to use, I mean, what a strange idea that this miniseries is predicated on the concept that Iceman is going to battle the void, nothing, with ice powers.
The anti-thing.
Right, with ice powers?
Yes.
What?
With a big old ice axe, which I like. I think Bobby Drake should make more things out of ice instead of just shooting them with ice rays.
And there's also kind of an implication that he rewrites the entire Marvel U.
Oh, he does. He actually does. He hits a big old reset button.
That's wild. That is wild.
So his dad didn't die.
Right.
Yeah, and the status quo does go back. Y'all, this is a weird one. Let me be positive for a second. The monologues are pretty good about like Iceman wanting to like not be an embarrassment to his parents and their family and not liking their expectations and all that stuff's great. That just kind of goes away halfway through this and we get nonsense that is incomprehensible.
Oh, there are pages in here that kind of feel like they were done for Heroes for Hope and then just like thrown in here. Like really weird cosmic heavy metal type stuff that I don't know what's going on, you know?
I will say Alan Kuperberg does a real good job like drawing the cosmic stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like
sure.
He is doing his darndest with this script and saying it's gonna look neat. Ain't gonna read for crap, but it's gonna look neat.
Yeah.
And he does a good job with that. He draws the action nice and like makes it happen, but he has some very interesting layouts in parts of this. I'll give him that for sure. I don't know what's happening.
This is one of those things that like I highly, highly recommend that you check out. Like if you got unlimited, just take a couple minutes and check this out. It is absolutely bizarre. Is it going to make any sense to you? Are you going to like, there are some good character moments with Iceman, but overall it's just this very, very weird thing that you would never expect from this miniseries.
Adam, can I tell you how I chose to read this?
Please tell me you have it in floppies.
Oh, I do have it in floppies, but I'm speaking mentally how I chose to read this.
Yeah.
Last Friday it doesn't matter. Last Friday, I consumed some fish that did not agree with me.
Oh no.
And was set up all weekend with food poisoning.
Oh, no.
Which meant I was feverish. I was in and out of sleep, but I did know, oh dang, I've got to read this one. So I had to read this while actually having fever dreams.
No.
And like jumping between, I think I read the first 2 issues and took a break and went back to the next 2 after a nap or something. And bud, that's a rough way to read this one.
Yeah, I am going to go out on a limb and say that readers should not be reading this particular book under the influence or when they're ill and on medication, etc.
Yeah, guys, don't eat some bad fish and then read this
oh my
one.
God. Are you feeling better? I hope.
I am doing just fine
good.
now. It's been the last few days have been less than pleasant.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's enough about my gastrointestinal health. We should rank Iceman, right?
Yeah, and I am unfortunately looking kind of low here.
Oh, it's worse than Cena's, which is at 256.
All right. This is, where I'm kind of drawing a parallel here is at 288. We have Beauty and the Beast. This kind of has like a similar strangeness to it. I would argue that Beauty and the Beast is better. I would too. I mean, you know where else? This is kind of Prisoner of Lovey weird.
It is, but I'd say the good parts of this
are better.
Are way better than that. Like, is this better or worse than X-Men Survival Guide to the Mansion as a story?
Yeah.
Which is at 300 right now. I'd argue yes.
I would say yes. And it is just an absolutely... I mean, Marvel Mangaverse X-Men is above that, and this is better than that.
It is. Is it better than Claremont's first arc about the Neo?
I don't know. I mean, it's just as incomprehensible. I think I like this better just because it's so bonkers. It's so weird.
All right. Do you like it better than Star Trek The Next Generation / X-Men Second Contact?
I don't know if I could put it above either of the Star Trek X-Men's because those are very similarly like bizarre and out there. But I think they hold together a little bit more comprehensive. Like they actually make a little more sense.
I do think this is better than X-Force and Cable Annual 97, the one where they went to Asgard again.
I would agree. So this is our new 295?
Yeah, this will be our new number 295. Iceman Volume 1.
Yeah, guys, check this out. It's so weird.
Y'all, it's got some stuff. I know like Jay Edidin and Miles Stokes from Jay and Miles really like this one. So it could just be a taste thing, but I hate it and I think it's bad.
I don't hate it. I just think it's really weird and kind of messy. So let's talk.
I feel like
go ahead.
I feel like I'm coming down hard on Iceman as a character, and I want to point out that when I was a kid, before I started reading like a lot of X-Men, Iceman was my favorite. I thought he was the neatest.
Well, all right, let's redeem it by talking about what I think is a pretty solid one-shot, albeit about a different manifestation of Iceman. Where are we going for our last story here?
We're going to IVX, but we're going to the Inhumans versus the X-Men, an event that was only 3 years ago.
That's wild.
It does feel like an eternity.
Absolutely wild. And as we all know from the Bendis run, it was not the adult Bobby who came out first. It was the young Bobby from the 05 brought to the present. And because, he had less of a life to kind of like weigh him down, he's in this part of the story engaged in a really great, healthy relationship with the Inhuman Romeo.
Okay, so let's start by saying this is Dennis Halliam, written under the pen name Hopeless, arc. It's number 17. M-Bags, Mark Bagley, he does all those pencils on there. Andrew Hennessy, he's gonna ink that bad boy up. Nolan Woodard, he's gonna throw those pretty colors on there. And yeah, Iceman's dating Romeo, and I gotta lead with this. Romeo's a dumb name for Iceman's boyfriend. That was bad, guys. There's a thin line between dumb and clever, and you crossed it. You're not even close. You're so far on the dumb side. Dennis, I love you. That was a bad one you did.
Wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Is Romeo an existing Inhuman character?
Romeo was a character that first appeared in Dennis's Spider-Woman Volume 6.
Oh, really?
And then showed up, in Spider-Woman Volume 6, number 10, during the Civil War II arc. Remember how there was a second Civil War?
Oh, that was unfortunate.
Remember how they did it again?
Yeah, that was not good.
Yeah, it wasn't at all. Anyway, Romeo shows up again in this. They're dating, but because of the Inhumans versus X-Men war, Bobby and all of his friends do have to go attack Romeo's house.
And you know what I like about this? First of all,
What do you like about it,
this
first
issue
of all?
looks beautiful. M. Bags is doing a fantastic job drawing this issue. I think the colors are really vibrant. They pop. You get these great flashback scenes of the first couple dates of Bobby and Romeo, and you could tell, like, these are two characters that are hitting it off and just, you know, they're having a good time. The other thing I really like about this is that this issue is centered around the idea that Iceman is going to young Iceman is going to lead the charge against Atalan in the IVX war. Why is he doing this? So he can take Romeo and leave IVX and never talk about it again.
It's look. That's me. That one's me. Iceman, you and me, we're the same right now. Because, I mean, who would have thought? Both of us, you and me. No. Because I also do want to just go get the one Inhuman that I like, her name's Kamala, and then leave IVX forever.
I also just think the build up to what turns out to be this great first kiss moment for this character is just fantastic. It is
very good.
is.
Because they keep it a surprise, like, of Bobby's motives.
Right.
You don't know until they go for the kiss if he's going to rescue his boyfriend or not, even though that shouldn't be a question.
It shouldn't be, but all of his friends are laying waste to Adelon, so you're not really sure what he's doing or why he chose to do it. You know, this issue being a tie-in to this event, it unfortunately does get bogged down with at least one page of recap. You know, but I do really, honest to God, appreciate the fact that it's basically like, yeah, we want nothing to do with this silliness.
Iceman rides in on his sled, grabs his boyfriend, throws up deuces, and says, "This event sucks."
That's why it's so great. It really is just a really fun slight to the actual event. And I don't know. I remember from IVX that I feel like Romeo was more involved in the plot somehow.
No, he's not. This is all he does.
Oh, good.
No, he just disappears.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. I just think this is a nice... And it's... You know, I know Mark Bagley isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I think that he's just drawing so well on this issue. It's beautiful.
But I love Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm a big M-Bags fan.
That's good. I've heard some people, you know, take issue with the way that he, you know, tackles drawing these characters, but I never had an issue with it. I think he really does sell human emotion really, really well.
You read that thing that M-Bags just did with Chippy? With Chippy Z?
I have yet to read Life and Times.
Ooh.
So
yeah, that Spider-Man book, Spider-Man Life Story, is
pretty great.
Good.
I wanted to catch that. Is it in trade yet?
It's got to be in trade because the last issue is about to hit that app.
Oh, okay.
It's about to hit that app pretty soon. What's funny is when Mark Bagley has to redo and redraw the comics that Mark Bagley drew. It's like, hey, you have to do the Clone Saga in absolute carnage, or maximum carnage again.
That's really funny. It's wild. I was actually just looking back over some of his Amazing Spider-Man stuff that he did after he took over for Eric Larson, and just comparing how much he's grown as an artist. It's really wild. He's a very talented guy.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. But yeah, I like this issue. It's fun. I am not as big a fan as All New X-Men Volume 2 as some other people were. Like, something about it just didn't click for me, especially compared to, let's say, the Bendis run of All New or Dennis's Jean Grey run that came after this.
Yeah.
Like, either side of it, I don't like the comps.
Well, just the setup and the team that they're working with here never really clicked. I don't think that it was ever really sensical to put Genesis and Edie on these teams, but
I can almost see Genesis because he's Young Apocalypse. Like, I get it.
Right.
And putting Laura on the team. Oh, she's Young Wolverine.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Heidi, she's not Young Storm. I don't know what you're trying to do here, but that's not her role. So she's a weird fit for it. But yeah, I see what they're trying to do, but it didn't work for me. But the whole year and a half that we had these books was a weird one, and we've all decided to move past it.
As the protagonist in this story does. So
yep.
I don't think there's really much else to talk about. If you're looking for a solid alternative to IVX, definitely check it out.
Yeah, let's check out where this goes on our list, though. I think this is the best Iceman story we talked about today.
I think it's a nice one and done. It's beautifully drawn, and it has a really kind of maybe inadvertent burn against the crossover event it was supposed to be a part of. So where do we go? IVX is actually at 282 on our list.
Yeah, this is better than IVX as a whole.
I would agree.
I don't know how much better it is than the Grace Iceman, though. Like, I'm looking around that spot. Actually, a few spots above that, we have, where is it? Right here. It's right here. Uncanny X-Men Volume 4, Survival of the Fittest, the Bun one.
Oh, yeah.
This is better than those first 5 issues, I think.
I would agree. Yeah.
Is it better than X-Corps?
That was the Banshee.
At 242?
That was the Banshee, like, villains, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's not better than the CB Cebulski, Akira Yoshida, Age of Apocalypse at 240.
It's not. That's got that bachelor art that I crave. So I think this makes it 241.
Perfect. That's a great spot for it. Very nice standing there.
Right. Good job, All New X-Men. And that does it. We're done talking about Iceman forever. We're never talking about him again. I'm just kidding. I love you, Bobby. I love you so much. Again, you were my favorite character as a kid, and then I got depression and found Cyclops existed. I'm kidding. I've never been diagnosed with depression. I'm diagnosed with anxiety. It's different, kind of. I still take the same medicine for it, though, so maybe not that different. I'm not a scientist.
I'm sure Bobby has his own share of anxiety.
Oh, Bobby's got anxiety.
How you could be an X-Man and not have any. Anyway, good stuff, man. So what have you been up to, Zach?
Well, I've been up to reading stories requested by our good Patreon supporters like Tyler James, who requested this Iceman episode. And if people want to be like him, they can, throw money at our Patreon. We've been changing up the Patreon to different things, so you can get early access to all the episodes that we do. Just whenever you feel like it, or whenever I'm done editing them. If you pledge at the $5 a month or higher, you can get a request at the $2 a month or higher. You can get other stuff at other levels. It's it's whatever. So if you want to do that, that's great, and we'd really appreciate that. If you can't, that's fine. I get that too. Tell a friend. Beyond that, I have been today, it will have just come out. I appeared on the podcast Shelf Dust Presents.
Oh, cool.
Counting down the 50 best first issues in comics.
Nice.
So I had a appearance not talking about X-Men because I asked specifically, I don't want to talk about X-Men, guys. So instead, I talked about Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars #1, and that comic is dope.
It's pretty great. That list was interesting.
It's a good list. It's also a list that's definitely made up by comics critics that Shelf Dust, I guess, editor-in-chief and runner Steve Morris knows, which would skew it to be critics who were active in the mid-2010s. Steve's great. Steve's awesome. But the fact that the top 3 books are Saga, Watchmen, Hawkeye, and Wicdiv tell you where the biases are.
About who wrote that list, but still, definitely.
I voted for at least 2, if not 3 of those.
That's a good conversation starter at the very least.
It was, and that's what the podcast is. It's a conversation about stuff. It's real great. Go check that out if you haven't. I'm also going to be at C2E2 at the end of this month.
You're going to be at C2E2, Zach? Guess what?
Adam, are we going to meet?
We're going to meet in person. X Twitter is coming to C2E2 at the end of the month.
Guys, Adam and I have never met, and we've been doing the show for 132 episodes. I hope I don't screw it up.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. So, folks, if you are in the Chicago area, the tri-state area of the Illinois, we are going to be in town. So I know I'm going to be at the con at least Friday and Saturday. Are you going to be there Sunday too, Zach?
Oh, I'm all weekend, man.
I gotta catch a flight out. So
I'm there the whole dang time.
But we hope to bump into you. I got some holographic stickers, so if you do bump into Zach or I, we will be glad to get you one of these nice, cool, shiny things.
I have buttons that I have to get rid of. You can have buttons. I have so many buttons.
Yeah, I want a button.
Okay, you can have a button. I have 4 different designs. One of them is great. The other 3...
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we are not paneling. We did try that. We'll try again for other cons in the future. But honestly, I'm kind of glad because we get to just kind of hang out, relax. Glad. We're going to hit the X-Men panel. We're going to try our darndest to interview some folks and just have a good time.
It's going to be fun. So if you see us, say hi. We look like us. You've seen our picture. It's on Twitter.
So that's great. Where can people find you online, Zach?
Oh, on Twitter at Xavier Files or at XavierFiles.com. We have a bunch of articles about a bunch of X-Men stuff. It's all great. It's all great and good. We just talked about X-Men Fantastic Four and Marauders last week. And it's great. And go check that out because it's great. Adam, what about you?
You can always follow me on Twitter at Arthur Stacy. I'm in between projects right now, so I'll keep you posted.
Next week, we're going to talk about Detective Comics comics.
Detective Comics comics? That's not our brand.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about Detective Comics comics, and it's going to be a great time, and we're going to get some Super Sons to help us out. But until then, this has been Battle of the Atom. We hope you survived the experience.
Get it!